this book by Jung, edited by Jung. It was the last thing he did before he died, actually. It's called Man and His Symbols. It's largely about the unconscious. I found it super interesting. I know it's like in your area of interest as well. It was full of interesting ideas, and one of them was the difference between symbols and signs. And he says that signs are things that have a direct meaning for something else, whereas symbols do have a direct meaning, but they also have associations with them that are a little bit ephemeral, that we can't exactly put into words or really rationally explain. And those associations really live in our unconscious, which is why we can't really explain them. And you can have like individual symbols, like things that you associate with stuff, but more often you're sharing these symbols with the minds of other people. Like other people have the same symbolic associations to whatever degree with you. And that's why we use symbols to represent concepts that are sort of beyond the scope of what we can consciously represent. And I think that's like kind of what you were alluding to before, like the East-West divide. And it's funny because it's not, for me, it doesn't seem almost so much like an East-West divide, but a West-now divide with the East. Like the West has become so rational and really living in the rational brain and only dealing with things that can be very directly explained, which is a shame because we miss out on the things that exist and in reality that we don't have conscious explanations for, but we do have symbolic explanations for, which are like the emergent constellations in the unconscious represented by symbols. And yeah, that's why religions, I guess, are always so symbolic, because they try to represent mysterious concepts.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Like how symbols operate in our life, in our culture, and there's a lot of power to it, and there's no power at all at the same time. You know, you can exist in both spaces, right? Like your statue, like I have a Buddha statue there, you can see in the corner.
Yes.
On the one hand, it's just a piece of plastic or whatever material it is. On the other, it's something you can bow to as a mode of respect, to honor a teaching, you know, to honor a way of life, to honor a way of living, and that has a lot of meaning. And in some ways, that's our whole experience, you know. It is this mix of emptiness and fullness, and symbols capture that quite nicely. And that's how thoughts operate as well. They're form of symbols, perhaps in the most distilled form. Like, I'm sure you've had the experience of you're caught in a thought stream about like a robber entering your house or getting into some violent encounter, and you snap back, you know, you're driving a car or you're doing something very mundane. So the thought has a power is imbued with all these meanings that can change your physiology, right? So it has that power, but at the same time it's empty in nature. There's nothing behind it.